4040 here with another ship's roster review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Motown TX's ship's fleet. And if we take a look down here, Motown actually has a rather decent fleet. It has Hans Millennium Falcon. I think there's a couple tweaks we can make to this though, in reinforcements and the starting area. If you're just willing to put in some gear focuses on specific ships and characters, we can improve this for you and get it ready to go. You just gotta be willing to put in that work, Motown. But overall, you do have a fleet that's really good. But I think we can get you a fleet that's easier to climb with, that you can be more consistent with. It might be a little bit harder to take out defensively. And then I'll just point you some directions I think you can prepare for future metas, because I was looking at your ships and they're pretty well developed already. It's just you don't have specific things that would improve your current fleet, and but there are areas that you might want to be preparing for in the future as well, and just being knowledgeable of those. So for the best Millennium Falcon fleets in the game, they're going to have 3 ships as their starters. They're going to have Hans Millennium Falcon, which you have well developed, and Bigg's Dark Lighter, which you have well developed. But the third one is going to be Bistan Jewing. So there's 2 problems here for you. You don't have the underlying characters geared up. You don't have 7 stars on the ship. You also don't have the abilities on the ship maxed out. What does this do? Well, Bistan Jewing essentially acts as the TIE advance for the rebels, and it can stealth itself, which makes it even harder to hit than the TIE advance, which is really nice. It can place target lock, which is going to help heal your Biggs, or activate its taunt, which is going to prevent it from being hit as long as it can get itself stealth quick enough. It's going to help melt down, like literally melt opposing houndstooths. So making any defensive fleets that have houndstooth not a problem for you, and they're going to probably be your targets whenever you're rising in the arena. It's just a really good starting ship, but you want to have it as fast as possible so it can stealth itself, and so you can get damage out on it, which means you gotta have those underlying characters geared. They're going to be starting characters, so you're going to want to have them gear 12. If you were just bringing this in as a reinforcement, I'd say it'd be fine to have gear 11. But really, the best fleets out there are going to have Scarif Rebel Pathfinder and Bistan gear 12. I personally would also say that Scarif Rebel Pathfinder is not a terrible character to have geared up. It's really useful having access to tanks like Scarif Rebel Pathfinder. Offensively, I use him with my rebels typically, because he's just a good option, and there's characters I can use elsewhere that would typically be used in a rebel fleet in things like Grand Arena or Territory Wars. So I put Scarif Rebel Pathfinder in there instead, and it works. So work on these 2 guys. These are going to be your top focuses, I think, because this ship is going to be what truly brings your fleet to the next step. I think there are other things you can do reinforcement wise to improve your fleet, but this should be your number 1 focus, is leveling up the abilities on this ship, leveling up the stars, and gearing up the characters on the ship. What's your number 2 focus going to be? Oh, I have 2 things here for you that you're going to want to look at. The next thing, reinforcement wise, is you want to have Ghost. This is going to be a good third reinforcement to bring in with the lineup I'm suggesting to you. Ghost comes in, it can deal an AoE, it can make your Phantom harder to kill, it can call to assist, it can stealth just like Bistan's U-wing. It's just a hard. It's just a hard-hitting ship. It's going to give you another good offense option that is going to synergize with your other rebel ships you already have down and help get even more extra attacks off with your Millennium Falcon. So having Ghost there as an option is going to be really useful in case you get in a pickle. But for this, you're going to need to gear the underlying characters, max out the abilities, and max out the abilities on the ship, which you currently can't max out because you don't have the characters geared up. So this is probably going to be the second thing you want to focus on after Bistan's U-wing is getting up Kanan, Zeb, and Hera. I believe you pretty much have the characters up on the Phantom too. I would go ahead and gear up Chopper to gear 11. That's just going to give the ship a little bit more speed, a little bit more damage, and you're also going to be able to max out Chopper's ability. Chopper does it, which is just going to make the ship a little bit more effective. Let's look at what Chopper does. It does. Chopper does it is going to add speed up for 2 turns to make the ship speedier and increase buff chance, which having more buffs is always a good thing. It's going to give you some more damage and other things on the ship. So I would get Chopper gear 11 so that you can max out his ability, but getting him gear 11 is just going to increase the speed and damage of the ship for you anyhow. So it's not a negative, and I also think any reinforcements should be gear 11 minimum anyhow. So you're going to, your imperatives are going to, your major imperative is, and then also, speaking of that, you should be working on gear 11 your Cassian K2SO just so that the ship is a little bit tankier and deals a little bit more damage when you call it to reinforce because it's not going to be doing as much for you. This should also probably always be your second reinforcement in fleet, so make sure it's in that second reinforcement slot because you're going to want to call in the Phantom and then you're going to want to call in Cassians so you're getting that dispel with it with Rebel Recon, and then you're using Guerrilla Strike, but you want to have Guerrilla Strike maxed out so that you're dealing extra damage and you're guaranteeing hits to be a critical. Because you want to take out that Millennium Falcon right away by calling in Cassian's U-wing, which means you need him gear 11 or a max out Guerrilla Strike on him, and then you want to just have K2SO up, not only so you can max out his ability, but so you can gear 11 him, so that you can increase the speed and health of the ship and offense of the ship and blah blah blah, increase all the stats of the ship. And these are 2 ships you're using anyhow right now, Phantom 2, Cassian, so it's just going to make your fleet better. And Phantom 2 and Cassians are going to be your first 2 reinforcements. Ghost is going to be your probable 3rd reinforcement. So what's your 4th reinforcement going to be? Well, there are 2 major options here. I would say having Houndstooth there as another tank is always useful. And it's going to be the best 4th option. Once you get Bistan's U-wing up, it's going to be a good 4th option until you get the ship I'm about to suggest up. Because if you get the ship I'm about to suggest up, it's going to come in and deal massive damage and just wreck the opposing side. And defensively, it's an amazing ship to have. And it can be unexpected and win battles for you. And that is Lando's Millennium Falcon. And what do you need for this? Well, you need to get both young Lando and Lando's Millennium Falcon up to 7 stars. And you need to gear young Lando. You already have L3 up. Sure, young Lando's not good, but his ship is fantastic. It's the best 4th reinforcement in the game, just like Phantom is the best first reinforcement in the game, because the ship comes in, deals damage for every reinforcement that's already been called, taking extra turns, and it can just be a surprise because not many people have the ship well developed, and it can turn the tide of the battle for you defensively. I've gone against people who have had this, and it surprised me. I personally wish I had it up. I don't think you'd be disappointed by having this ship. So, what are your focuses gearing wise for ships going to be in the future? Well, your number one focus at the moment should probably be Bistan's U-Wing. Getting this up as quick as possible is going to be the best way to increase your ship, to make your fleet better, and you gotta 7-star it as well, which could take a little while. But as you're getting that up, I would go ahead and Gear 11 Chopper and Cassian K2SO. These are guys you're already using, so that's probably your second major imperative with improving your current fleet, is getting these guys up to Gear 11. Your third imperative is going to be gearing up Hera, Kanan, and Zeb, because Ghost is going to be your third reinforcement. It's a great reinforcement. It synergizes with Rebels, has extra synergy with Phoenix, and it's just going to deal you a lot of damage. And it's one of the better ships in the game anyhow, because it was meta before Rebels were meta anyway. And then after Ghost, I suggest Lando's Millennium Falcon. Go ahead, start farming it so you can get 7-star, and start working on gearing Lando as you start getting Lando up as well. It looks like you've already started working on this ship. Just max out its reinforcement ability, because that's really what's good on this ship. If you don't have it maxed out any already, because this ship is an excellent ship, but you want to have the rest of the Rebel fleet developed out before you get Lando's Millennium Falcon. It's really there to be that surprise ship. There are other 4th reinforcements you can use in the meantime, like Houndstooth. But currently, until you get Bistan's up, stick with your current starting fleet. Stick with your current reinforcements. It's working with you. But what I've suggested to you are going to be the best ways to improve your fleet. Give yourself a fleet that's easier to move up daily with, and that's better. Now, to just give you some ideas of where to move in the future, if you're not sure, it's likely that one of the two future metas is either going to be Separatist or Galactic Republic without Endurance, so you don't need to worry about Gear 12ing Mace Windu anytime soon. But you might want to look at gearing, Plo Koon, Clone Sergeant, starring up Rex's ship, gearing up Jedi Consular, starring up Anakin's ETA. You have a lot of these things already well worked on. You just got to do a little bit of finishing touches on them, But that's going to be a great thing to work on in the future. Separatist is the other one. You already have the Geos up, so really the only other Separatist thing in the game right now is Vulture Droid. But just to note, IG-2000 might have some synergies with that, but you already have IG-88 Gear 12, so you're pretty much set there. You just gotta, once Vulture Droid becomes farmable, farm it. And then if there's a Separatist capital ship, then you get it and you're pretty much set there. Some other things to note, just B2 Extinction Bomber is a good tank, especially a Sith fleet has been used in the past, I believe, as a Millennium Falcon counter, not as a soft Millennium Falcon counter, It doesn't hurt him in the meta at all, but it's good in things like Territory Wars. So working on those Sith ships isn't a bad idea. There's several First Order ships in the game, so First Order happen to get a capital ship, that could become meta, especially if they got a good taunting tank. Those are just some things to note. But honestly, I think your major focus right now is going to give you a lot of good ships. Is just going to be working on uh, the specific rebel fleet I told you. And that specific rebel fleet is going to be Home 1 with starters of Hans Millennium Falcon, Biggs, and Bistan. Then reinforcements of Phantom, Cassian Jewwing, um, the Ghost, and Lando's Millennium Falcon. That's going to give you one of the best fleets in the game, I think. I don't think you'd regret it. And just keep your eye on things that you think might be meta in the future that you can go ahead and start gearing up and preparing that also have decent underlying characters or that you just want to work on. So, if you have any further questions of Motown, feel free to reach out with me and I'll answer your questions. But talk to you later. This is David 4040 signing out.